Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for keeping time. So I want to welcome you all to Africa Stemi 2017. We have an exciting, interesting program lined up for you the whole day. I wish to invite the chair of the Africa Stemi 2017 to come and present, Dr. Jeilan. We're all familiar with Dr. Jeilan. He'll come and introduce himself. He'll start off the talk by introducing Africa Stemi and talking about what's new this year.
Thank you very much and welcome everybody. Just by show of hands, I'd just like to see how many of you are actually not from Kenya. So you just put your hands up and say we're not from Kenya. And keep your hands up if you're not from Africa. There you go. So we have a large contingency of people who are here from Africa, a smaller group of people who are here from outside Africa, and we'll be hearing from them. I'm not going to name any specific individuals, but we have an exciting faculty, and as we talk through what's new about Africa Stemi 2017, I'll reflect on about 3 weeks ago, somebody asked me, so what's the theme for Africa Stemi? And I said, well, the theme is STEMI. And they said, yeah, but that was last year's theme. What's this year's theme? So we had to think about how we can renovate and invigorate and make this session quite interesting and also relevant. And of course, STEMI management is an issue that will be an issue forever, I guess. Heart attacks are going to continue to rise, and it's how we manage heart attacks that will define how our population reacts to the epidemic of coronary artery disease. So what's new in Africa Stemi? I have no disclosures, and as Dr. Otieno sometimes say, I would like to have some. Patient journeys in STEMI. So we're going to go through the program and maybe just highlight a few things that are slightly different this year compared to last year's. We have a session on patient journeys in STEMI, and we're privileged to have Dr. Ong, who hails from Singapore. Now, Singapore apparently is one of the best places to have a heart attack for a variety of reasons. They have very efficient road systems, it's a small place, and their technology is as good as anywhere else in the world. And he's going to talk to us about how they manage heart attacks in Singapore, how they receive patients, what they do in the hospital, and if the patient gets into the cath lab, what they do to improve the efficiency. He's got a talk inside the talk called How to Run a Lean and Mean Cath Lab process for your STEMI patients. And I'm looking forward to that. So this is what we call a live case in a breakfast box. It's going to be a live case with some video and some discussion. We're going to have David Kettles maybe chairing or moderating the session and trying to get us to think about what it is that we do when we're dealing with heart attacks in Africa and different parts of Africa, and what it is that we could do in order to improve the situation around the world. Caitlin Dolcart is with us. I hope, I'm not sure if she's here. Is she, hands up if you're Caitlin Dolcart? And only one hand, I hope. She's not yet here, but she'll be coming very, very soon. She's going to talk to us about a new solution, because we don't have integrated ambulance systems. Very recently, somebody, a famous celebrity on television was asked something about his personal life, and he said, hang on, there are more important things to think about. What happens if you call an ambulance? And I always ask people, what happens if I get chest pain right now? What will you guys do? We've got a bunch of interventional cardiologists. What will we do? And many people say, we'll call an ambulance. And if I ask people, what's the phone number for an ambulance? They'll say? 999. So this guy went to national television and dialed 999, put it on a loudspeaker, and it rang for about 2 minutes, and then there was an answer phone. And it was one of those silly messages. If for an ambulance, press 1, for Samaritans, press 2, etc., etc. So he pressed 1 for an ambulance, and it rang for another 3 minutes, and then it just dialed off. And that was basically what happens in many parts of Africa. So we're going to be hearing about solutions to this. I won't give you a sneak preview, but some of the things that, that we have to think about are how we get people into hospital. And this may be one of the solutions. Dr. Otieno is going to think about access in a different way. Some patients don't live in facilities where there's STEMI care easily accessible, and he's going to talk to us about the option of telemedicine and telehealth. We have 2 exciting keynote lecturers. We have Professor Gershlik and Bernard Gersh Professor Gershlik has published in the New England Journal of Medicine severally. He's published, probably, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is true, but he's probably one of the most published STEMI authors. He was behind the REACT study, he was behind the transfer, the STREAM study, behind some of the other major studies that taught us how to manage thrombus management in heart attacks, and recently the CULPRIT study, which helped us decide how we should manage patients with multivessel coronary artery disease. He's going to tell us about what's happened over the last few decades and where STEMI management will be going around the world. Professor Gershlik from the University of Leicester in the UK. The other exciting keynote we have is from Bernard Gersh. Bernard Gersh has been in Nairobi for a few days now, and he has already given a couple of very impressive talks at Kenyatta Hospital, at the Aga Khan University Hospital. And we're quite excited to hear about his approach to tackling the burden of cardiovascular disease in Africa, based on what's happening in other low and middle income environments. And then the gloves come off and we have Africa Stemi debate 2. I don't know if anyone was here, but if anyone remembers, we had a big debate last year. It was between Ahmed Suleiman and Dave Kettles. And from what I remember, I think David Kettles won that, but Ahmed Suleiman is ready for the fight back. We never actually took a vote, but this year we're going to take a vote. I'm quite excited to see who wins. This is about how we manage a typical African patient, a patient who presents late, and whether we should focus on heart failure management for that patient, or whether we should start thinking specifically about intervention. And then we've got workshops. So we had workshops last year, but what's interesting is this year we've started an imaging and STEMI workshop. A lot of physicians wanted to learn how to do echo, how to interpret echo, and we think echo is one of the key tools, particularly when you're uncertain about an ECG, to help you determine whether somebody should receive immediate treatment or not. And so we're going to run an echo workshop, foundation echo, which will basically look through separating the bad and the good ventricle, and maybe if you're bright enough to follow, to think about specific areas of the heart which may be suffering a heart attack because they're not contracting so well. The other thing about the workshops this year, we had an ECG workshop last year. This time we're going to do the same, but it will be followed by a specific quiz, and I'm quite excited to hear how people do in the ECG workshop. These are workshops that you incidentally need to sign up to very early. It's quite important. This room will be divided into 3 at about 2, between I think it's 3 p.m. And on that room over there will be the echo workshop. In here will be the ECG workshop. And on the far right will be the interventional cath lab workshop for people who work in cath labs or people who are interested in that specific initiative. This is quite exciting. We have an unannounced, if you like, last-minute addition to our program is a specific concert. It's called a Song for the Heart concert. It's going to happen this evening. It's ticket only, I'm afraid. It's brought to us because we have a very, very important visitor who's going to be coming to open the initiative. Now, people will be asking how to get hold of tickets. We have a total of 100 spaces, and we have 100 tickets. And 30 of those have already been assigned to the people who come with the VVIP. So there are about 70 tickets, I believe, that are available, but you have to get them from the sponsors. So I'm just trying to remind us that we need to visit the sponsors and speak to them. There's something called a raffle stampede that will happen between now and then. And if you've been kind to the sponsor in the morning and been kind to them in the afternoon, they may give you a ticket. So please do your best to go and find the people at the booths and talk to them and try and get hold of one of these STEMI Africa Song for the Heart tickets. So why is it a Song for the Heart? Because we've got 3, maybe 4 musicians who are going to tell us about heart disease through song. And there are people who are coming to join us because one of our very important guests is the CEO of the Universal Music Group, Mr. Sipod Lamini, who whose friend recently died of a heart attack, and who's taken an interest in heart disease, and who will be partnering with us hopefully over the next few years. So there'll be a partnership that correlates music with with STEMI. Somebody has designed an app. This is the first time we've thought about having an app. This is an app specific to the conference, and I'm told that it's available on Google platform. You can download it. It's called STEMI Live Conf 2017. And I don't know, I haven't tested it out. I don't have a Google platform myself, but I'd be excited to hear how well it works. And so I think somebody's already demonstrating it.
Works on iOS as well.
It's working? Oh,
Apple as well.
it's, oh, you've downloaded it on Apple?
Yeah.
And it works?
Yep.
There you go. So details of the app are over there. We're grateful to Farmiva, who've been a particularly energetic partner in this initiative. And then because heart attacks and strokes are now seeming to be managed in the same way, we're thrombolizing people, we're taking them to cath labs to unblock their arteries, we decided that we were going to come up with an initiative called Africa Stroke Live to look at how stroke management can learn from STEMI management. So we're going to have a specific room tomorrow morning to discuss stroke management, and we're going to have interventional neurologists and neurosurgeons, as well as emergency care physicians, talking us through that particular program in the morning tomorrow. And one new thing which Novartis are championing is a team approach to heart failure. And as I talked earlier, many patients who present late present, unfortunately, in a situation where we now have to manage their heart failure. And heart failure management is very integral to STEMI care. So there'll be a team approach to heart failure. I think most of the people who will be attending that workshop have identified themselves. It's really important to try and get your name onto the workshop if you want to go to a particular workshop. But I believe there are a few spaces left. And this is really a heart failure team that somebody envisions in this part of the world being led by non-cardiologists, possibly physicians, and probably by nurses. And then we're going to have a little bit of a feel-good or feel-bad session, if you like, at the end, where we're going to invite a patient to tell us their story about their heart attack, and about, maybe it will be reflective of what near misses the patient suffered, and what happens when we get it right. And that will be near the end of the meeting. Ravi Sharma is famous, having attended Africa Stemi Live and summed up the whole meeting last year, and he's agreed, thankfully, to come and give us a sum up of this year's Africa Stemi 2017 meeting at the end of the meeting. We have access to STEMI care. This is very important. Thomas Alexander will be talking to us about how they manage heart attacks in the Song for the Heart evening event. But we're going to also talk about specific initiatives in different countries. Robert Madenge has been pushing forward with heart attack concern in Kenya, and they'll be giving us an update on some of the road trips and road shows that they do in partnership with the Khan University, with Novartis, with other partners, going out there and teaching people outside Nairobi about heart attack management. And we'll be hearing a little bit about them. They're one of the partners. And Dr. Elias Sabata from Uganda has put together a pilot program from last year that is showing that these STEMI initiatives that we talk about now are beginning to gather momentum. The Uganda STEMI project is something I'm looking forward to hearing about. Thomas Alexander will also tell us a little bit about one of the developments that also bore fruit or gathered momentum last year, which is specific guidelines on how to manage STEMI in low and middle income countries. And he's got a short presentation on the World Heart Federation guidelines. And Dr. Ahmed Suleiman will be telling us about how we put everything together, get started, by talking to us about a registry. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite our next speaker, who is Dr. Ahmed Suleiman, to talk to us about why STEMI in Africa is different from STEMI in other parts of the world. Thank you very much.